It almost seemed like the 49ers expected to get their butts whooped like that today. Good evening. Welcome to the instant reaction to that absolute awful game. I'm Grant Cohn here at Levi's Stadium. The 49ers wanted you to understand why they didn't do anything at the trade deadline. Sure, they're 6-3, but they're not a good 6-3. According to them, that's what they told us when they did absolutely nothing at the trade deadline. And just to convince us that they're right and we're wrong about the potential of the team, they played like they were terrible in this game. And it wasn't just that they got outplayed. They had no life early in the game. They entered the game down 21-0. That's essentially when they got emotionally ready to play. And I think what's so disheartening about this game is that the Niners beat this Rams team already. And when you look at why they won the first game against the Rams, that was an incredibly coached game. This one was an incredibly poorly coached game. I'm going to get into that. But first, today's show is sponsored by Mint Mobile. At Mint, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/Cohn. That's mintmobile.com/Cohn. Upfront payment of $45 required. It's the equivalent of $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Okay, I want to start with the coaching blunders. Why this game shouldn't have been this lopsided. Remember, the Niners beat the Rams 5 weeks ago. And in that game, they had Mykel Williams. They had Fred Warner. So it makes sense that the defense would fall off. But also in that game, they had a much better offense. They had Jake Tonjes. They had Kendrick Bourne. They didn't use them very much in this game. So what did the Niners do poorly? Let's start with the defense. They couldn't stop anything. And I think what was really interesting was the Rams have this 3 tight end personnel grouping that everyone knows about. They've been using it for weeks. It's been very effective. The Seahawks use it a lot. And the Niners couldn't stop it in any way. Forget stopping it. They couldn't even line up. Go back and watch the film. They would frequently not have people over the tight ends. Like they would a lot of times have 2 tight ends next to each other, like on a wing. The Niners have no one there. So they couldn't stop the run, couldn't set the edge. And then I thought it was so interesting. They were down 21-0. They fight back. They're down 28-20. They make it a 1-score game. And then the Rams wait until that moment to just put Robert Saleh in checkmate. They go to their 3 tight end formation. And they just go pass. And every single time they pass on this drive, they're targeting third linebacker, strong side linebacker, Luke Gifford, who can't set an edge, can't defend the run, can't cover anyone. It was really smart. And instead of doing it right away, they waited until they absolutely had to, and they did it over and over and over again. And, I mean, what I would say is, why is that guy on the field? Just because the Rams are going with a lot of tight ends doesn't necessarily mean they're going to run the ball. Maybe it's best to go nickel defense or big nickel defense and have someone on the field who could cover a tight end. Because as long as Luke Gifford's on the field, people are going to exploit him. They're going to target him until the Niners bench him. He is worse than Marquise Siegel. He's worse than who else? I mean, he's the worst player on the defense. And Robert Saleh allowed the Rams to just go after him over and over and over again. So it seems like they had a solid plan for Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. Like those guys are the 2 best wide receivers in football. There's only so much you can do against them. They each scored 1 touchdown. But why don't you make it hard on them? Like for Davante Adams, you allowed the Rams to get him matched up with Malik Mustafa at the 2-yard line in the slot. That's Nick Sorensen shit. That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of oversights that would happen routinely under him. And then there were like 2 potential 12 men on the field penalties. 1 they called a timeout, 1 they didn't. So the game plan was terrible. The preparation was terrible. The execution was terrible. The effort was terrible. After the game, Tatum Bethune said the effort wasn't there. So I think one reason the Niners didn't make a move at the deadline for defense is because they felt Robert Saleh could like patch it all together. Guess not. He has to go back to the drawing board and figure out what the Niners are going to do against three tight end formations, 13 personnel, because everyone in the league just saw what happened. Other teams do that too. The Niners are going to get tested in this way every single week. The Cardinals are going to do it next week. And based on what we saw today, the Niners have no answer for it. So that's defense. Then on offense, first of all, end of the first half, the Niners are trying to make it a game. They're moving the ball down the field. They get a delay of game penalty. What happened on that play? Was it Mac Jones' fault? Well, the way I saw it, Kyle Shanahan took a long time calling his play, and his play had like a motion and a shift in it, and they were running out of time, and it caused a delay of game. Like, hey, man, can you get out of the way? Do you always have to call a play with 8 shifts and a motion? Maybe just call a play and let your players execute. The offense was doing well without your window dressing. He is in love with window dressing. Do you think he goes window shopping all the time? Doesn't go inside, just like looks inside, be like, I love the way this looks in the window. That's him. Forcing the ball to Juwan over and over and over again in the first half of the game. It worked out later, but guy fumbled. Trying to placate Juwan has gone a lot like trying to placate Deebo Samuel last year. He had a fumble. He had a drop. He had a false start. It doesn't seem like Kyle Shanahan is fully engaged in what's happening on the field in 2025. He keeps handing off the ball to Christian McCaffrey on these outside zone runs, and he's so shocked when they don't work. He's been doing it for 10 weeks. Hand off to Christian thinking he's going to get to the edge, and then he doesn't. He called that on 4th and 1. That was one of the worst calls I've seen from Kyle Shanahan in the Kyle Shanahan era. A quarterback sneak gets it done. Then he comes back later in the game and calls a quarterback sneak, gets 3 yards. He called an outside zone run on 4th and 1. To be fair, he called it to the left behind future Hall of Famer Trent Williams, who wasn't quite what he used to be either. So it's like, Kyle, man, like, you're watching, right? Do you just call the play and look directly down on your call sheet? You got to watch the game. And I'm not saying that these runs to the outside, it's 100% Christian's fault. It's not. Does he have the burst to get out there like he used to? No. But is the blocking good on the edge? Absolutely not. The wide receivers aren't blocking like they used to. Brandon Ayuk isn't out there, and Juwan Jennings isn't what he used to be. And Kendrick Bourne can't block. Sorry, Kendrick. So knock it off with that shit. The one time they ran the ball well this year was against Atlanta. They ran the ball between the tackles relentlessly. That's what the Niners can block. That's what Christian McCaffrey can run. That's what Brian Robinson Jr. can run. So that's what you need to call. How many weeks are you going to let Christian McCaffrey average 2 to 3 yards per carry running sideways? He's been running sideways all year. It's not working. Let him run forward. Let Brian Robinson run forward. That's your best chance. But why won't Kyle do that? Because that's not his system. It's not his dad's system. They believe in outside zone blocking, whether it works or not, whether the personnel can do it or not. So those are the coaching blunders. It felt like if they had coached as well as they did in week 5, they could have won this game. Maybe not. Maybe there was nothing they were going to do to beat the Rams are a better team than the Niners. They are. But they're not 16 points better than the Niners. That 16-point margin of victory was shitty coaching. Pardon my French. I think they would privately have to agree. I mean, Matthew Stafford was throwing no-look touchdown passes to tight ends that were like 3rd on the depth chart. So after the game, I asked George Kittle, I said, at 6-4, do you feel like this team has what it takes to make a deep run in the playoffs, or are you not thinking about that right now? And he said, both. And then he went into great detail about how much he's thinking about it. And what he said is that, yes, this team absolutely has what it takes to make a deep run in the playoffs. That's what he said. Absolutely. And I didn't even have to ask why. He said it's because they have a lot of talent on offense and players who are coming back, reinforcements who are coming back on offense. Brock Purdy said, look, Mac Jones is really good. Brock Purdy's better. And he's coming back. And Ricky Pearsall's coming back. And hopefully Brandon Ayuk's coming back. And Ben Barch just came back. And so what Kittle said is that this offense, when it's fully healthy and Brock's back, has the potential to be an elite offense, a Super Bowl offense. The defense is clearly awful right now, but Kittle says it's going to get a little bit better every week. And that's why the Niners can make a deep run this year. And you know what? I appreciate his candor. I appreciate him answering my question. He's a really smart guy who knows a lot of football, and maybe he's right. But I think he's wrong. I don't think they're going to go anywhere with their offense. You don't win with offense. You entertain with offense. You win with defense. And I'm not saying you need to have a Hall of Fame defense. You need to have a top 5 defense to win a Super Bowl. But you can't have a bad defense. It's got to be good enough. And the Niners defense isn't good enough. The run defense isn't good enough. The pass rush isn't good enough. The coverage isn't good enough. And I know people will say, well, one person wouldn't have changed that. Oh, we don't know. If the Niners had a pass rush, that would go pretty far. That would take them, there'd be a domino effect to the rest of the defense. I think it's interesting that the Niners are giving themselves hope, and the hope is that Brock's coming back. Brock's going to save him. Jeez. Is Brock really going to be better than Mac? Mac was great in this game. Is Brock coming off of like a 2-month layoff with all the rust going to be better than this? And if the Niners have a Super Bowl offense, then isn't that all the more reason to actually make a trade at the deadline? If your offense is so special, if your quarterback is so special, aren't you in your Super Bowl window? Why would you not do something? Seems to me, if Brock's as good as George Kittle says he is, if the offense is as good as George Kittle says it is, then they really messed up not trading for a player at the deadline. Because this is a special team with a special offense that could really go places. I mean, they have Brock Purdy. He's elite. So let's talk about that trade deadline again. This was the big topic all week. Why the Niners did nothing. I think some people feel like, well, this is why the Niners did nothing, because they just got destroyed by the Los Angeles Rams by 16 points. And if they had traded for Jalen Phillips, they still would have lost to the Rams by double digits. That's why they didn't do anything. Yeah, but listen to what George Kittle said. George Kittle said that their offense is only going to get better and it's going to be elite and it's going to be a Super Bowl offense with this franchise quarterback and all this talent and Ben Barch. But there isn't any talent coming back on the defense. Michael Williams isn't coming back. Nick Bosa isn't coming back. Fred Warner isn't coming back. Keon White, that was a nice addition. He had a sack today. How about another guy? Keon White they absolutely needed to make that trade. They needed to make 2 more. And I think what's so funny about the reasoning not to make a trade is, well, they need their picks. You can't just throw away picks. They're so precious. Why would you trade a 3rd-round pick for a player you know is good when you could save it and use it to draft a player who might be good? Why would you do that? Why would you trade a 3rd-round pick for Jalen Phillips, who's in his prime? He's in his mid-20s. You could re-sign him and keep him around for the next 5 years. Why would you spend your 3rd-round pick on a player you know is good when you can save it and spend it on a kicker next year? This is the same team that spent a 3rd-round pick on Jake Moody. They throw 3rd-round picks away. How many times have they drafted a guy who was projected to go in round 5 or 6 in round 3? They did it this year. They took Nick Martin in round 3. He was projected to go in round 5 by everyone. NFL.com, CBS, Athletic, you name it. The Niners were like, no. We really don't care about third-round picks. We're going to reach. Because third-round picks are meaningless. There's basically no difference between a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick. So if there's a guy we like in round 5 with a fifth-round grade, and we're afraid he might not be there, we're going to take him in round 3 because what's the freaking difference? Doesn't matter. They did that with Cam Latu. They drafted Cam Latu in round 3. He was projected to go in round 5. They had George Kittle. They were taking him to be a backup blocking tight end. They needed a replacement for Charlie Werner. And they're like, damn, that's a perfect time to that's when we take the guy in round 3. The only good third-round pick they've ever made was Fred Warner. They have like a 95% failure rate in round 3. The second best third-round pick they made was Upton Stout, and he may not be good. Am I missing someone here? I mean, C.J. Beathard, Akello Witherspoon, Ambry Thomas, on and on and on and on and on. You wouldn't trade a third-round pick, but you'll throw it away on some backup next year? Or reach? That's what I don't understand. Yes, the Niners aren't one player away. Yes, they were going to lose to the Rams one way or another in this game. The Rams were totally fired up. They needed to make a statement. The statement is they're going to be in the Super Bowl on this field. And the statement the Niners made is, we're not. And I think what sucks about that, look, maybe the players agree, maybe the coaches agree. Who knows how they really feel? But I just can't get over the fact that Jed York is okay with this. You're at 6-3. Your window's open now. And you just do nothing? I bet if Leeds United, I don't know how soccer works, but if Leeds United lost a defender, I bet you Parag and Jed will go out and get a new one. Because it's really important what's going on with Leeds. They lost today. They lost 3-1. And if they keep losing, they'll get relegated back to the, what is it? The Premier League and the Champions League or whatever. I don't know. I'm not British. I don't give a damn about soccer. The Yorks do. They need there's a lot of pressure on Leeds this year to stay in the Premier League and not get relegated. So whatever it takes, no expense spared. But the Niners, it's not their year. So, you happen to be 6-3? Don't care. Sorry. Are you a soccer team? Then I can't help you. It's not football's year. Maybe 2026. Maybe 2027. It's a 3-year plan, apparently. And they got a long way to go. But the soccer team, that's got some real urgency. You know what? I don't care. I don't root for these teams, but I'm really rooting against Leeds United. I hope they get relegated. What a stupid side project. What a distraction. You've never won a championship, and now you're trying to win multiple championships at once with multiple teams? You won't. They lost 3-1 today, Leeds United. I wonder if the Niners if York's going to get them some reinforcements because they need it. I got another thing I want to say when I'm ranting. I've talked about for a while why I hate the concept of a core. It's one team. And in football, players go down so quickly that the whole next man up mentality you have to believe it. Because once you believe you can't win, then you don't win. And I feel like what we saw today is a team that lost belief in itself. I have one more thing I want to say about the trade deadline before I go to the core. Sorry, I had a point I was trying to make about the trade deadline. Here's why what they did was so disheartening and why it led to this trouncing. Everyone knew the Niners defense didn't have enough. It's not good enough. They've lost too much. And no one expected them to replace Hall of Famers with Hall of Famers. But as currently constituted, the defense isn't good enough. They're going to have more bad games like this. They can't do anything well. And yet the offense is really good. And yet their record is really good. And yet the schedule's easy and the Super Bowl's here. So everyone acknowledged defense isn't good enough. We did. The team knows it. And the front office, the owner said, sorry. Yes, the defense isn't good enough, but there's nothing we're going to do about it. Because why? Because we don't really care, because it's not our year, because soccer's more important, because we have a 3-year plan. I don't know. They won't explain it. But the fact is, the defense isn't good enough. They know it. We know it. They chose to do nothing about it. No, excuse me. They traded for Keon White. That's it. So don't fucking talk about how good your offense is. Don't talk about how you can go on a deep run in the playoffs. You know your defense sucks. And you chose to do nothing about it. I don't blame Kyle and Saleh. I don't. I blame Jed York. Eddie DeBartolo wouldn't have let this shit happen. 42 points you give up to your number one rival, in-state rival, at home. Just a few days after the trade deadline, you could have done something about this. You did nothing. You invited this embarrassment onto yourself. So you could smile and say, see, this is why we didn't make a trade at the trade deadline. See? All right, end of rant. Let me go to the core. I don't like the concept of a core because teams have to be ready for these players to go down. And when you build your whole team around 7 players, that has major implications from a financial aspect, from an emotional aspect. Financially, once 2 or 3 of those 7 core players who are getting paid so much money go down, then now you got like $100 million on the bench. Hard to win that way. But then from an emotional standpoint, when you say we're going to be okay, we have 7 good players. Well, when 2 or 3 or 4 of them go down, then you could say next man up, but you don't believe it. And what the Niners are telling us, they'll say it on the record. They're like, look, we're 6-3, we're 6-4. There's no replacing Fred Warner. There's no replacing Nick Bosa. You just don't understand. Next man up doesn't apply in their cases. You just don't, there's no replacing them. And so they're defeated mentally because they feel they need their core to win. I would argue you don't. A lot of teams win games without a Hall of Fame middle linebacker. A lot of teams win games without the defensive player of the year at the end. Does it help to have them? Yes. But when you don't have them, is that a reason to just sort of mentally pack it in and say, well, like, what do you really expect from us? We lost to the Rams. We didn't have 2 potential Hall of Fame players. Again, what was the point of paying Brock Purdy all that money? It seems to me that when you have a franchise quarterback, the core goes out the fucking window. Your Super Bowl window isn't about 7 players who don't play quarterback. It's about the guy you paid $53 million a year. The whole reason to spend that much money on one person is the idea that, she knows what I'm talking about, is that when he's healthy, it really doesn't matter what you have around him. He gives you a chance to win. And I know he's not healthy, but George Kittle said he's coming back, right? If he's coming back next week, wouldn't the front office be really excited about that and say, oh my God, the 7th best quarterback in the league is coming back. Let's get him an edge rusher. If the 49ers were more flexible and they weren't so caught up in their superstars, they could look at what's happening on this team and say, you know what? It's not the season we wanted. It's not the team we thought we'd have, but we're still 6-4. And we have really good players, but it's not necessarily our core guys. Like, is Christian McCaffrey still in the core? He averaged 2.5 yards carry today. He's a good receiver. But it seems to me that if you would include Brian Robinson in the core, team would be better. If you started thinking about other players as core contributors, foundational players, they'd be better. Tonjes is in there this year. Kendrick Bourne is in there this year. Brian Robinson's in there this year. But they haven't gotten paid. They didn't go to Cabo. I don't know. Maybe they're not on speed dial. Maybe Kyle doesn't know them as well, and so they don't get to be contributors. I think the mark of a good team is a team that doesn't have a core, a team that's truly a meritocracy. The best guys play no matter who got paid, and we don't see that enough from this team. How many games does Christian McCaffrey have to average less than 4 yards a carry before there's an actual even split between him and Brian Robinson Jr.? I mean, if it were a true meritocracy, Brian Robinson Jr. would get more carries than Christian McCaffrey. No disrespect to Christian, but the results are the results. Brian Robinson Jr. is just averaging more yards per carry than Christian. So what you got to do is give him the ball more than Christian, hand him the ball more than Christian, and see if that trend continues. And if it doesn't, then you deal with it from there. Anytime they throw to Christian, that's a great decision. Anytime they hand it to him, it's terrible. The idea of the core, the commitment to the core is really hurting the Niners this year. Juwan Jennings is in the core somehow. That's hurting the Niners this year. They'd be better off throwing to the hot hand, which is Kendrick Bourne. Kyle Juszczyk's in the core. It's not helping the Niners this year. They'd be better off playing Jake Tonjes. But they won't, because they're so committed to being led by these older group of players who aren't necessarily that great anymore. Kittle is. But it seems like really good football teams, contending football teams, have new superstars every year and embrace them. Okay, let's go quarterback controversy. We waited this long. One theory is that the 49ers want to bring back Brock Purdy next week. That they held him out this long. They're paying him a lot of money. They've been cautious. It's been 6 weeks. It's the Arizona Cardinals. They're not good. And that's like a soft launch for the Brock Purdy experience. That's a smart way to bring him back. And he's so much better than Mac Jones. I just don't see how bringing back rusty Brock Purdy is going to make the offense better. But you know what? I'd love to see it. As long as the Niners are making bad personnel decisions and playing the wrong people, bring back Brock. Let's see. Because you know what? None of us really know what it's going to look like. I don't. They don't. Brock doesn't. I'd love to see. Play him. I double dare you. Bench Mac. He just completed, 83% of his passes today? He played great. He threw a pick on 4th down. An incomplete pass is a turnover in that situation as well. He played great. Brock wouldn't have played any better. He's a really good quarterback. Is he better than Brock? I think he is. Sam Darnold was better than Brock too. And the Niners had him. And they never really gave him a legit look, and now he's gone, and he's kicking ass. That might have been the quarterback they needed. And he's about half the price of Brock, but he's gone. Now you got Mac, who's about like a 20th of the price of Brock. And he's playing great. And he hasn't had a running game all year. He even made a Brock Purdy-esque touchdown throw where he stepped up in the pocket and rolled around and bought time. And that was a really nice play. That's the kind of thing people say he can't do. He can't make a guy miss in the pocket. He can't extend a play. Can't go off script. He can do everything the Niners need a quarterback to do, and he can do it for cheap. And he's healthy, and he can keep playing. You don't have to worry about him hurting his toe or his elbow or shoulder or his ribs. Or if he does, guess what? He'll be out there the next week. That's the biggest difference between Mac and Brock. You really want to sit a quarterback who's healthy and on a heater for a quarterback who played like shit the last time he was on the field and gets hurt a lot. Go for it. I'd love to see how that works out. It might be really smart. It sounds really dumb, but it might be really smart. My guess, though, is that it's not going to happen like that. I don't know. I keep oscillating back and forth on it's not as bad as they say it is, and it's way worse than they say it is. Brock's an injury. They're downplaying it. They're overplaying. I get the feeling it's really bad. I heard that they gave him a workout before the Falcons game, before that game. And they thought it was the final hurdle. And that workout went really bad. Like he was in a lot of pain. So I don't know, maybe they'll try again. Maybe it'll be better. But I get the feeling that it's really bad. And they don't want to say it. It's worse than they're letting on. And I don't think he's going to play next week against the Cardinals. I think they want to sort of control the discourse on this. They don't want people to know. Again, I'm just guessing. Maybe he plays next week. But instead of putting him on IR and letting people, just go to town with criticism for the organization about getting their franchise quarterback injured so quickly, they just say, yeah, we hope we'll play next week. We hope. They're hopeful. They say that every week. We're really hopeful he's going to play this week. He's getting a lot better. He's getting close. And then afterward, it's like, yeah, he wasn't going to play. If Mac Jones weren't playing as well as he is, Brock Purdy's injury would be the story of the season for the 49ers. And it would, first of all, they wouldn't be winning, but like the fact that they re-injured Brock's toe and potentially, jeopardize his career, because turf toe has ended careers. That would be the story of the season. They wouldn't be talking about coach of the year. Although I think that's out of the window now. After a loss like that, forget coach of the year. Maybe Sean McVay. What he's doing with 13 personnel is pretty cool. But yeah, I think they have every opportunity not to make the wrong decision. Brock's hurt. That's the excuse. Keep going with Mac. Figured out in the offseason. Tom Brady said stick with Mac before the game. What were his numbers in this game? 33 of 39 for 319, 3 touchdowns, a pick, and a 115 quarterback rating. It's pretty good. You think Brock would have done better against the Rams? Maybe. I just think it's funny how George Kittle comes out after the game and says, Mac's good, but Brock's a lot better. And there's a reason we paid him so much. George, you didn't pay him anything. Am I the only one that feels like George says way too much? You're not the coach of the team. You're not the GM. He talks like he's Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. It rubs me the wrong way. I know he's a future Hall of Famer and a grown man and a captain on the team. But at a certain point, you got to know your role and play your position. Talking about this, why we paid him so much? Man, what are you talking about? You play tight end. After the game, someone asked Jawan Jennings, what do you think of Mac Jones' performance today? He said, man, I play wide receiver. I run routes. I thought that was such a fair answer. Like, what do you want me to say? I asked Kyle Shanahan what he thought of freaking Mac. What did I think of Mac Jones? We lost. I was running routes. Sometimes he threw me the ball. Sometimes he didn't. I don't know. I'll watch the film, I guess. Kittle's over there talking about the roster construction and the rest of the season and then which quarterback's better than the other. Man, just worry about being better than Jake Tonges. But seriously, he's starting to talk like Mike McGlinchey. That was my biggest gripe with Mike McGlinchey. He would talk like he put the team together and then coached it. It's like, man, you can't even handle your matchup. Why are you doing big picture? Does it really help the team for George Kittle to go to the freaking podium and be like, look, our other quarterback's way better. Wait till he gets back. He might not be coming back. You need Mac. I don't think that helped. And you kind of see why Fred Warner is a better leader than anyone. He would never say something like that. Yeah, we might not get Brock Purdy back this year. We might be stuck with Mac Jones for the rest of the year, but and Mac's good, but he ain't Brock. Thanks, George. That was very helpful. All right, let's take 26 super chats. Nate member for 50 months says, hey, Kyle, John, we still good on edge rushers. I just don't understand the logic. You love your offense. You think you have a Super Bowl elite offense. You know your defense isn't good enough. So why even try? Let's squander the year. Let's squander a Super Bowl offense. Shardall's been a member for 6 months. Love you, Shardall. It's Nick for real says, if we didn't pay Brock, maybe we'd have a defense. I feel like everything that's happened this year has reinforced the why you don't pay a quarterback this much money. The only time you pay a quarterback this much money is if it's Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. There are like 4 or 5 exceptions, Justin Herbert. Otherwise, you don't freaking do it. Why? Because then you don't have a defense. 2 players get hurt and you give up 42 points. Also, look what Mac Jones can do for $4 million. Look what Sam Darnold is doing in Seattle for $30 million. There was no way that Brock Purdy was going to be exponentially better than this stuff. Look what Baker Mayfield's doing for $30 million a year. So many reasons never to do that ever again. Vin Wynn says, can someone tell me who is Clifford and what's he doing in there instead of Martin? Hey, man, all they're telling us is that Martin is terrible, and I'll believe him. Another reason they should trade their 3rd-round picks. Johnny says, can you imagine how pissed fans will be if the Rams or Seahawks win the Super Bowl in Levi's? Well, guess what? Can you imagine if Sam freaking Darnold wins the Super Bowl right there? He was on the Niners. That's another quarterback that Kittle thinks Purdy's better than. Is Purdy better than Sam Darnold? Maybe 2 years ago he was. Propa says, Grant, I'm in my 20s. I'm bad at football, so I'm starting to worry that John Lynch might draft me. He seems to avoid good players. I'm not ready for the league. I swear I don't fit the wide 9, John. Propa, good luck. John, stay away. Alex Toussaint says Christian Wilkins is a free agent. Should we consider him? Yes. Beggars can't be choosers. I heard some things that he's a little strange, but you know what? Maybe he'll do something strange for a piece of change. I'm just saying. CN List says that 4th and 1 run word of Jimmy G. Your plays sucks, man. Yeah, I agree. That was a terrible play. It's Nick for real says offense can't be good with this high school O-line. O-line did good today. Too much sausage. Is McVay a better coach than Kyle Shanahan? Yeah. Yes. TVU says should have traded CMC for Zeb Williams. I don't know who Zeb Williams is. Josh B says Jacob Cowing, 4th round, hasn't been on the field. Isaac Arendo, 4th round. Jordan James, 5th round. Jordan Watkins, 4th round. They throw these picks away. Josh B says, meanwhile, Howie goes all in for the Eagles. He sure does. Timothy Orr says, honestly, they showed some heart today. So many huge hits from the defense and gang tackling, albeit after giving up 10, 20 yards. It was really odd to see that level of heart on so many bad plays. Sad. I said it. They played better than they coached today. Lee Hollywood H donates $20. Thank you, Lee. Jed York and his family are the worst owners in football. I've been a fan of this team for over 50 years, but until Shanahan is fired, Lynch is fired, and Jell sells the team, I'm out. Eddie D wouldn't expect this. I feel you, man. Double B Studio says, oh, we don't have the 2 best defenders, Fred and Bosa, in the league. Well, neither does your opponent, so suck it up and coach. Thank you. Oh, my God. Like, having Bosa and Fred Warner is a blessing and a cheat code. You can't wave in the white towel because shit got real, because shit got hard. Every other team doesn't have those guys either. You have a bunch of players you drafted. Make it work. Or make a trade. Don't tell me you have a special offense and then do nothing for your defense. Tom Nelson says the Niners don't believe in Martin so much so they would rather allow Gifford to pretend to play coverage. Yeah, man. Like, would it be so bad to let Nick Martin get roasted like freaking whatever that guy, Gifford did? Nick Martin could give up those catches too. What does Luke Gifford do well that he needs to be on the field playing defense? Pandemi Lovato says, is Kyle Juszczyk a core player still? I mean, he always has been, always will be, even if he's not on the team. Ace Trey says, stop using Juice like he's some threat. I've been saying that. Lee Hollywood H says, CMC is trash now, get rid of him. Lad McConkey just scored again, could have drafted him and he's healthy. Ricky stinks. The problem with Ricky, he's good when he plays, but he has a whole lot of soft tissue injuries all the time. That's a problem. Josh B says $120 million lost to injury. Kyle needs to justify the contracts by force feeding certain players. Need to go to the Cardinals strat and soft bench these players like they're doing with Kyler. I do feel like there's a lot of truth to that. Kyle needs to justify the contracts by force feeding certain players, i.e., McCaffrey. Who wanted to give McCaffrey all that money when he was hurt? Maybe the guy who went to his freaking wedding. Maybe that was his wedding gift. Christian Ayala says, I trust Mac more than Purdy. Give this man an O-line. CM Top Flight says, Purdy can't come back this year. Mac is playing too well. Purdy is Purdy G now. Hey, man, I want them to bring Purdy back. That's the stupidest thing they could do. Please do it. I double freaking dare you. Change your quarterback. That'll change things. I'd love to see it. It's Nick for real says, players act like a coach because they don't have one. True. Timothy Orr says, with the defense this bad, would have been a good time to get Sebastian Valdez reps. Could he have been any worse than who Kyle and Saleh rolled out today? Let's see what we got. Same with Nick Martin. I think there's a lot of truth in that. You don't really know what you have. And there's another thing, like this roster politics across the board. Chase Lucas, what the fuck does he have to do to get on the field? He's been so good all year. Renardo Green got worked today. Upton Stout's been terrible in coverage all year. I think there's a legitimate chance that Chase Lucas is the second best cornerback on the team after Lenore, but we'll never know because of roster politics. That's why there needs to be a separation between GM and coach. The coach should be playing the best players no matter where they were drafted or how much they're getting paid. And if they're not doing it, there's a problem. And the Niners have had that problem for a long time. Remilia Sports Report, really enjoying this day, I'm sure, says, if Brock played today, Rams scored 60 with 4 picks. Way to rub it in. Dis Brother Bob Kuh, been a member for 30 months. Thank you, Kuh. Abyss 007 says, who's better, CMC or Kyron Williams? Kyron Williams. El Pancho Loco says, Ronnie Lott had a pinky partially amputated so he didn't miss time. Brock, my toe hurts. You're saying he should amputate his toe. I don't think that's the way to go. Christopher Hengeller says, why didn't they quarterback sneak in the first quarter? I don't know. Great question. They went outside zone. Let's run sideways on 4th and 1. BF donates $2. Thank you. Yusuf Karimi says, winning records in NFL don't come often. To give up at 6-3 is pathetic. This was supposed to be the healthy year. Watch someone go down next year. I've never seen a team more deflated at 6-4. That post-game locker room was depressing. They're 2 games over 500. Depressing. Brother Bob says, F them picks. We got the click. That's all we need. Abu Marco 23 says, with loss, we fell to the 8th spot in the NFC. Shit's about to get real for us, unfortunately. I think the Niners are on an unreal streak, right? Since 2002, I believe. Since 2002, they've either made the NFC Championship game or missed the playoffs every single year. They're not going to the NFC Championship game this year. Does that mean they're going to miss the playoffs or they're going to break the streak? I don't know. Dustin the Gale says, why did Kittle pause the press conference momentarily and say, that's tough for you to one of the reporters? Because Kittle stopped everyone from asking questions because the door was open. And then Cam was going to ask the question. But then when the door closed, someone jumped in and beat Cam to the question. And Kittle was like, sorry. But then Cam got the next question. I went after Cam. That's what happened. BF says is a new member. Thank you, BF. Richard Evangelista says the nerve of them to play Return of the Mac before commercial break. What are they going to play when Brock comes back? Is there a song called Return of the Brock? I don't think there is. And since there isn't a song called Return of the Brock, you can't do it. Prize Picks time. Prize Picks time. Let's do Monday night Prize Picks. Starting with Jordan Love. No, pass yards. Jordan Love, 233.5. Where you at, Jordan? Wait. There it is. I'll say more. I have a feeling, a hunch. Jalen Hurts, my fantasy quarterback. I'm going to say more. I think they're going to need a lot of offense from both teams. These are teams that like to run the ball, but in this game, I think they're going to have to air it out. Josh Jacobs. Let's say less for Josh Jacobs. And Barkley, let's say less for Barkley. I'm just talking game script here. Pure game script. Jalen Hurts, let's say less. He hasn't been running very much. Receiving yards, A.J. Brown, you're going to hit that with the more. I think they're going to be passing. Okay, those are my picks. I was very quick on the picks today, but I'm feeling good about the picks. Check them out. Check them. Check them. Check them. Check them. Flex it. Submit it. Before we go on, I just want to check my picks from, hold on, this week. Oh my God. I won $500. I won $500. And it makes me feel so good when I won these prize picks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's how I feel when I won $500. Should I give it to charity? No, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna keep it for myself. Is this a song? No, I'm just freestyle singing. I'm a good freestyle singer. No one's ever been a freestyle singer before me. It's what I do when I win $500. Yeah. That was a good song. I just wrote it right now. Matthew Stafford. Yeah. Puka Nakua. Yeah. I think these were Tom Walsh's picks. Were they Tom Walsh's picks? No, they might have been Dre Arias' picks. I don't know. But whoever made the picks with me, they're now have a weekly show. Every day. Daily show. I don't think I've ever won $500 on prize picks before. That's a special feeling. This one I won $8. $8. I'm up $508. Christian had 30 rushing yards. 30. Sorry. Eddie P, I believed in you. And then I went on this one, 35. Who let me down? Jacoby Brissett? How dare you? Why'd I pick Jacoby Brissett? How'd you get in there? Okay. Oh, I won this one too. $5. This was not, I didn't win this one. That's okay. I'm blaming. Okay, so this one, I think was my dad's picks. He got those wrong. Then this one, I think was Larry. And then this one, I have no idea. Tyler, Tom Walsh, and then freaking Dre Area in his first ever show with me just runs the freaking table. Should I share it with Dre Area? $500? I don't think I'm gonna share it. I think I'm gonna take all the money for myself and spend it on baseball cards or something really silly. I had a bar mitzvah when I was 13, and most of the money went to my college education, but they let me keep like, I don't know, maybe like $500. And I spent it all on baseball cards. Not like good ones either. I got like packs because I like the mystery, and I got a bunch of nothing, and I still own them because I was like, oh, well, these cards suck now, but in like 20 years, some of these players might be Hall of Famers. Guess what? None of them were. I got no Hall of Famers, and no one cares about baseball cards anymore. So I'm going to go spend my money all in one place on some irresponsible stuff. I'm very excited about Prize Picks today. You should be as well. Download the app, play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups when you use promo code COHN. That's code Cohn. I hope you like my singing. 7MP says, do you feel the real reason they didn't make a trade at the deadline? Because it's political. They don't want to go deep with Mac, because if Mac got to an NFC championship game, they'd have a legit quarterback controversy. Yeah, man. I think they didn't trade for a defensive player because they don't want to be too good. But they also want to be too bad. They're trying to like walk that fine line between too good and too bad. And today they were too bad. Whatever they do, do not win a playoff game with Mac Jones. Because it's more important to control the narrative than to actually win games. Cosmo says it's a GM, game management, O-line, D-line, and ego problem. Hey, here. Scott Thorpe says Kittle's. I almost said it, though. Hey, Scott. Watch this. Hold on. Watch this. You are banned. Banned. And I took your $2. Give me that $2. Timothy Orr says, please, solid time and date for Cohn phone. Ooh. Okay. 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 How about we do a Saturday morning Cohn phone? Could we do early Saturday? Is 9 a.m. too early? Do you guys wake up at 9? Because I got places to be. I'm going to Arizona. 9 or 10. I'll let you guys know in the community posts. Josh B says, remember, unpaid Jordan Mason was behind CMC. He was the best running back on the field. Week 11, you're not going with new players like you would early in the season. Tonjes, Watkins, Jordan James, Martin. Roster politics. Words, names, places, nouns, verbs. But what do you think of my singing, though? Would you like it? Was it good? All right, 9 a.m. You didn't like my singing? That shit was sensual. In 9 months, there will be babies born because of the singing I did tonight. You're welcome, world. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for appreciating. And that's it. Stay tuned for the grades. I'm going to do the grades. Then I'm going to get out of here and go home. And then tomorrow, Cohn Zone with my pops. Moved him up to Monday. Stay tuned. Let's see what the great Lowell Cohn thinks about this stinkeroo. Let's see if I can get him to sing a little bit too. Take care. Good night.